Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Interactive Middle Statistics Investigation, or as we like to call it, IMSI. I am Hedge, and
I am Joel.
we're going to start out with a sixth grade lesson. This sixth grade lesson is very controversial, Joel. It is on homework.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yes.
big
Much
mad
controversy.
feelings. Yes, big feelings on homework. All across not only the teacher universe, but also student universe as well. What are you doing with homework over there in Tennessee?
I assign it because I'm not going to get through Algebra 1 in the number of days we have in class if I don't, but I try to limit it and I try to keep it to really important, like practice, and I don't like require it nightly or anything like that. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm even less of a fan are my students, it turns out.
Well, I know that we feel probably the same way. I think this might be a really good debate talk podcast topic. I need to go tell our fellow brethren over there.
I like it. I like us getting invited to podcasts. That would
I like
be
it
good.
invited too. I mean, I like arguing a lot. So, but I think what I love about this lesson is that not only is it a really great activity, but it lends itself really well to not only the questions that are already in the activity, but the additional questions that we created. But there are so many more questions that you could ask students about after it's over. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into this lesson, and I am going to show you the student facing version of this activity, and Joel's going to talk us through a couple of these questions just to kind of like hit some high points on this.
So just like with all of our activities, we've set up the original questions from IM and open up over there where it says original lesson. In that question, we're going to focus on the interactive investigations that we've developed to help dig deeper into this material. I'm going to talk about questions 3 and 4 here real quick and show you some of the ways that students can approach this from an investigative angle. Question 3 says, a new student joins the class and in his first week reports completing 10 hours of homework. How would the center of the data change? So notice we're using a term like center because students may interpret that differently. They may be thinking of mean, median, and mode, or they may be thinking of their own sort of idea of where the center of a data set lies that's sort of related to one of those, but maybe not the specific mathematical version of one of those. So students may imagine a point there down on our dot plot right at 10. They'd notice immediately it was the largest value, but there's only one of them. So how exactly would it move the data? This leads to some really interesting discussion points and ways for students to think of it. But I also want to show that in CodeApp, we can actually see the movement. So Hedge, if you'll click on the dot plot there where it says sixth graders, and if you will pull up the ruler, and let's measure out the mean and the median as it currently stands, right? So we can see the mean and the median, and we can see the median there is 3, the mean slightly higher than 3.64. Right there, that's a good discussion point as to why is currently the mean higher than the median, right? So this is a great one. And so we have a 26 student joining at 10 hours. So Hedge, if you'll now go over to our sixth grade student table and double click in cell 26, and we're going to add that student and we're going to type in the number 10. And if you're watching the video, watch what happens to mean and median when she presses enter and the 10th student appears. So the mean has increased to 3.88 and the median has increased to 3.5. So one, if the student is like, oh, the measures of center will increase, or the center of the data will increase when 10 is added, that's great. But for your high flying kids who may like want a little more challenge, well, which would increase more? Would it be the mean or would it be the median? Why? What is it about this data set that makes that happen? So notice how they can approach that third question sort of very intuitively, just sort of imagining that data point and thinking about how it might pull the center to the right, or they can actually pull up the measurements and watch them change as we add that new data point. So very, very different approaches that we can take. And we want students in all of those places, right? We want them thinking about it intuitively. We also want them to see the actual motion while they investigate this. Question 4 says, how would the center of the data change if the students who reported doing 8 or more hours of homework weren't in the data set? So since we have the mean and the median pulled up right now, let's jump straight to how this could be answered with it showing. So Hedge, if you'll draw a box around those 4 data points that are at 8, 9, and 10 with your cursor. And if you'll go to the eye, the little eyeball there, and we're going to hide those selected cases. So we're going to hide the ones and look at what happens. Oh my goodness, the mean and the median are now the same. What happened there? So even if they had talked about, well, I think if we take all of that, the center of the data will become less, or it'll move to the left, or it'll get smaller. Like, those are all really good intuitive answers. But I wonder if anybody in the class knew that they would be the same. I wonder if there was enough information in this data set to know that they were going to be the same, or that they would get that much closer together. So a couple of ways to approach both of those questions. One from sort of a very like, I'm imagining those data points are there. Now I'm imagining that they're not there. That is great. That is where we want our middle schoolers to be. For those that really want to see that motion, if they understand how CodeApp works, you could show this up on a projection. They could manipulate with the file themselves. A really good way to approach it. Thank you, Hedge. You're going to talk about number 6 here. Is that correct?
Yeah. So number 6, kind of the idea about number 6 is I'm always wondering, whenever I see a survey was taken or a group of people were questioned, my gut instinct is, who asked the question, who did they ask, and how did they ask it? And so I would love to kind of see through the lens of a 6th grader what their intuitive, statistical, skeptical brain would kind of think through. So what questions are unanswered about 6th grade homework based on this data set? So the first thing I'm going to kind of do is I'm going to come over and kind of look at, to start with, like, who was asked. So we asked 25 6th graders, and that's all the information that we got. So did somebody walk into a classroom of 25 6th graders and just randomly ask a set? Were there 25 6th grade classes and they randomly picked a 6th grader from each one of those? Where was this asked? Why was it asked? And so it really just kind of, it's kind of like Pandora's box, honestly, though, if you want to think about it. So this is one of those loaded questions where it lends itself really well to be open-ended, but it's going to bring up some questioning, probably about, like, equity and inequity in education, and like who gives homework and who doesn't give homework, and those types of things. So when you elect to give this question, I think it's a really fantastic question, because there's that standard that really talks about sampling and how we sample and what the purposes of sampling, and how do we know that this was collected, first of all, in earnest, like we really want the answer to this question, and kind of slowly kind of thinking about, well, if I look at the data, the original data set that they gave me, what does it say about homework, and what are they trying to lead me to believe from this initial data set and from this representation of that data set? What is it that they want me to believe, and who are they, and what is it like, how do they benefit by me believing that? So are they trying to say kids don't really have that much homework? Like, it's 3 hours a week. 3 hours a week is a lot. Like, as an ADD person, 3 hours of, time in any block is going to be a lot. So, so in that whole homework debate, should we give homework? Should we not give homework? How much homework is too much homework? That kind of thing. I think that is like a really good, nice question to kind of open up that discussion.
Yeah. So links to all of these resources are in the description to this video below, the teacher-facing resources, as well as the student-facing resources, so you can assign this activity. All of our socials, all of our other IMSI resources as well, for 6th, 7th, 8th grade and Algebra 1. Hedge, nice job. Thanks. And we'll see you on the next video. High five.
Oh, sorry. Bye.